are now in the Black Box with Spider Loke, Most Easty, aka BJ Keyway, and the Google Gang. Let's go!
Listen, gratitude is the attitude. Show is a blessing. To be back in the Black Box. Black Box.
Relax, roll up as we randomly react to content in these YouTube streets. Yeah. It's time for R&R.
Smack with Nip Hustle. Big shout out to my nigga SPI, Spotter Low. You know I'm in the Black Box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
The constant, consistent, continuous content creation campaign continues. Yep, them the 7 C's. We all up in them and on them. This time we dealing with an Out Prophet piece. He got one he put together about Lil Boosie and Marlo Mike and the murders that shook up Baton Rouge. I've heard a lot about it, like in the peripherals of my ear span, but I've never really, paid attention to the story, and I don't know anything about it other than Marlo Mike was a youngster, and allegedly he was. But with no further ado, let's see what Our Prophet says. Boosie, and Marlo Mike have been up to. Not Boosie, no, not Boosie at all.
Yo, Boosie, who's next? These are the words tattooed on the stomach of Marlo Mike as he serves his life sentence in the treacherous Louisiana State Penitentiary. Marlo Mike was the man alleged to be Lil Boosie's hitman years back when Boosie was on trial for murder and facing the death penalty. It all started when Lil Boosie got caught with a blunt in 2009. Being his third offense for simple marijuana possession in Louisiana, he faced a possible 20 years.
A Baton Rouge native, Boosie first landed in prison back in 2009 after pleading guilty to a third offense marijuana offense and violating his probation. Once behind bars, the 29-year-old father of 8 is accused of hiring this man, Michael Loudon, to kill a man on the outside. Loudon, who's still waiting to go to trial himself, is expected to be a star witness for the prosecution.
Well, Marlo Mike initially told police when he was arrested for murder that a guy named Michael Judson told him that Boosie wanted Nussy stamped out for dissing him in a song. So that's sort of hearsay evidence in the first place. If Judson didn't testify that Boosie personally told him he wanted Nussy dead. But Michael Judson's been killed at that point already himself. So really it's like somebody saying Kaiser Sose with Lil Boosie as Kaiser Sose told me to do it. Kind of meaningless. But remember that every time you think of Boosie's case, it basically started with the 17-year-old multi-murderer telling police he heard Boosie wanted someone killed, so he did it. That's so frightening that someone would do that, and it's frightening in a way that Boosie got charged with such vaporous evidence.
Several hundred people will arrive in downtown Baton Rouge tomorrow. 12 of them will eventually be selected to hear the murder case against Baton Rouge rapper Lil Boosie.
The suspected murderer went on to tell detectives that after Nussy was killed, he spoke with the Wipe Me Down rapper who said, "Ghost told me you hit that boy. I like that." Now the police had this to say. They heard from all sources that there was a beef between Boosie and Nussy. Quote, word on the street was that Boosie would pay 25 grand for Nussy's execution. Now, prosecutors should know that type of hearsay is not real evidence, word on the street. And by their own admission, Marlo Mike Loudon didn't even know Boosie at that time, hadn't met him, but took it upon himself, I guess, to win admiration and obtain the $25,000.
His lyrics have won him several notable awards, but those same lyrics are a part of what prosecutors plan to use against Boosie as they try to convince a jury he orchestrated a murder for hire from behind bars, claiming words in his songs allude to
My mama, I never knew none of the details, but none of the situation. But it seemed like he really might have been in jail for some bullshit. Oh, my mama.
Murder and money.
There's not a rap artist, a hip-hop artist alive who raps gangster rap that does not use these terms.
The rapper's legal team is headed up by Jason Williams, a defense attorney from New Orleans who's well known in legal circles there.
So again, Marlo Mike did not even know Boosie when he killed Nussie. So how is Boosie being charged as a conspirator in his homicide? Now they ended up not charging him for Nussie, but that's what got the ball rolling. The prosecutor's own story is they got on to Boosie when Marlo Mike said he killed Nussie because he had heard that Boosie had a $25,000 contract on Nussie, but that Mike didn't even know Boosie at this point. So that's why Boosie wasn't charged in Nussie's homicide. He was charged in a later one that we'll talk about in a minute. But you could easily make the case, which apparently Boosie's lawyers did at the trial, because as we know, Boosie was found not guilty, that Marlo Mike was just a crazy kid doing murders. And if in his head he thought Boosie, that was a way to get in good with Boosie, who was the most popular man in Baton Rouge, that didn't make Boosie guilty of murder. Fame and fortune bring out strange behavior in people. If Mike thought there was nothing valuable about himself except that he was a killer, and maybe he offered that service to Boosie without Boosie asking. 6 homicides, 8 people indicted, and Boosie not convicted. After Louding's testimony in the trial against Boosie,
they look like they could be related. Oh, my mama.
Boosie, a police sergeant took a stand and denied making any threats towards Louding. And because Marlo Mike said that he had been interrogated for hours and hours on May 14th and May 17th. And during several hours on the stand, the cop, a cop named Johnson, repeatedly denied telling Marlo Mike that Boosie had put a hit out on him, because that's what Marlo Mike said. But in the videotape confession, Marlo Mike is distinctly seen exclaiming, "Dude wanted to kill me, he's out now," on the camera. So the jury seems to thought the police could have told Mike Boosie was planning on having him killed, and that was a way to scare Mike into keeping Boosie in jail to save himself. What would you do in that situation? The kid was 17, making split-second decisions, and a homicide detective was telling him or implying that Boosie was going to kill him. So tell us something to keep Boosie off the streets, and he told them what they wanted to hear, whether it was true or not. Quote, "We didn't have any other baskets," District Attorney Hiller Moore III said in an interview when asked about basing the entire case around a basket of possibly tainted evidence from a single 17-year-old serial killer. So they gave it a try and ran Boosie through the murder trial just to see if they could get lucky, basically. Prosecutors alleged that Marlo Mike's string of murders that you might think were associated with Boosie, but he was only charged with the one, started with the Nussie guy. But after he was sentenced for the case he was eventually found guilty in, the district attorney dropped the first-degree murder charges in the Nussie slang, as well as in some other murders, because there really was no evidence other than his confession, which might have been tainted by the police threatening him.
Boosie's mother says she feels good going into the trial and has confidence in the lawyers representing her son.
Because I feel that I have 2 strong leaders that's representing my son, and I know he did not do it.
The prosecutors and the judge called Marlo.
He looked just like his mama, too.
Marlo Mike, quote, rotten to the core when they sentenced him. So, but yet they believed him when he said he was doing it for Boosie. And like I said, Marlo Mike's going to spend the rest of his life at the Louisiana State Penitentiaries at Angola right now. In a press conference afterward, they called the 15 to 20-year prison terms for 5 other co-defendants named in the 2010 indictment substantial. Quote, "We can focus on the fact that Boosie was acquitted, but look at all the consequences that came out of that line of cases. Nobody can call gangster rap fake these days, that's for sure, especially in Louisiana. From New Orleans and now up to Baton Rouge, the bodies have been dropping for decades. And Louisiana is probably the most corrupt state with the most chaotic criminal justice system in the country. From a distance, the boot seems more like a third world country like Jamaica than America. So a quick summary on this confusing case. June 2010, law enforcement charges 7 young guys, teenagers mostly, with a string of murders in Baton Rouge. The main focus was Marlo Mike Louding, just 17 at the time. He was initially charged in the first-degree murder in the death of a local up-and-coming rapper named Chris Nussie Jackson, another rapper named Mark Gangsta Thomas, a guy named Charles Noki Matthews, and Daryl Bleak Milton. This all happened in 2009 and 2010. He was also hit with a second-degree murder charge in the killing of Michael Smith a week before Christmas in 2009. A few weeks after all these charges, that's when Torrance Lil Boosie Hatch got brought into it, and they said that he had hired Marlo Mike. They implied to kill all these people, but they only charged him with hiring him to kill a 35-year-old guy named Terry Boyd, who was killed inside of his house. But in the end, just Marlo Mike ended up convicted of murder. He got sentenced in July of 2013 to life in prison.
Prosecutors have been tight-lipped about their strategy for trial and have not publicly talked about possible motive. Courthouse security will be at high levels, and press conferences, normally held on the sidewalks outside, have been moved inside. In a rare move, jurors will be referred to only by the numbers, not their names. Those jurors.
It's a small town, and it's crucial in that thing. They feel like anybody can get at anybody. Ooh, they be real protective.
Who are selected will be sequestered, kept in a hotel away from their families during the trial.
We're here all the time. We work in the systems. Jurors do not, and they unique to this is something they're not supposed to get used to, and we like to make them as comfortable as possible.
Despite his serious legal troubles, many of Boosie's fans have stayed loyal with postings of "Free Boosie" common on the internet.
Innocent. Completely innocent.
A statement jurors will soon be asked to decide if they believe. Tiana Williams, WAFB 9 News.
And from the 9 News Fact File now, Hatch is on trial for first-degree murder. However, the death penalty is not on the table if he's found guilty. 700 jurors have been summoned for jury.
They tried to hang that man on my mama.
Selection this week for the Hatch trial and others. That's 200 more than normal. He may have little hope.
It was a remarkable turn of events as Louding, at the beginning of the case, turned on all his former associates, cooperating with prosecutors right up until he...
Why did that seem like that's the turning point of every story we cover? Somebody break down and go bad. Do you know how many cases would still be unsolved or would be beaten if just could refrain from that? So many.
Testified at Lil Boosie's trial, but then in the witness chair he reversed course and told jurors that neither he nor Lil Boosie had anything to do with Boyd's killing. And of
course, he was the first little Woody. Okay.
Of course, Lil Boosie was acquitted after a week-long trial. He ended up doing 52 months in state prison for his initial charges and some charges he caught in jail. Louding's co-defendants took plea agreements of 15 to 20 years. And without Louding's cooperation, prosecutors dismissed all of the charges against 2 guys entirely. A guy named Gerald Williams, who was accused in one of the murders, and a guy named Jonathan Rogers, who was accused in a different murder. So Marlo Mike swept in a few different people outside of Boosie, and Boosie wasn't the only one who didn't get, I mean, he went on trial and beat it. The other 2 guys got it kicked out. So the end of this 4-year saga raises a key question. Did the district attorney's office err putting its eggs in one basket, relying so heavily on the word of a man considered a serial hitman?
Good evening, everyone. Andre Morrow, 9 News. You're looking at live pictures outside District Courthouse in Baton Rouge, where the jury has returned a not guilty verdict in the murder trial of Torrance Hatch, Lil Boosie.
Marlo Mike's attorney said her client was with the police for 8 hours being threatened you know, like with the threat of Lil Boosie doing something to him before the videotape that was played during court proceedings was even started. She said Loudon didn't understand that he was a target for the police investigating the murders themselves. But at Boosie's trial, he testified he lied about the rapper's involvement both to detectives and a grand jury, because not only did the Baton Rouge police imply Lil Boosie was out to get him, they threatened to lock up his mother and stepfather and said he'd die by lethal injection. A guy named Adrian Pittman, who was charged with helping Loudon kill Boyd, pled guilty to manslaughter and said he was the getaway driver. He testified against Marlo Mike. Pittman also has a tattoo. He has the word Boosie on his chest and a picture of Boosie's face. He got 20 years. There's a couple more guys. Eddie Stewart was one. He was only 16 when the shootings happened. And those are the guys who all pled out to the 15 and 20 years.
Boosie is back in handcuffs, charged with first-degree murder. The Baton Rouge Homicide Task Force says the rapper was involved in a shooting at this house. Terry Boyd was killed. This man, who asked not to be identified, says he spent time on the streets in the same circles as the rapper.
9 times out of 10, the stuff they talk about, some of them don't do it, but a lot of them do.
He says some of Lil Boosie's songs should offer some clues.
People who talk about murders, they're involved.
District Attorney Hiller Moore says it's quite possible Lil Boosie is connected to a string of murders.
It's interesting to see the prosecutor's version of why Boosie even wanted Boyd killed. Supposedly, someone who got out of Angola prison told Boosie that Boyd was in prison, telling people he was going to slap Boosie when he got out. And Boyd ended up getting shot through a closed window as he sat on a sofa inside his house. Prosecutor said this in the newspaper: "The way he committed homicides was particularly scary to me. Every time I sat in my living room and watched TV, I thought about how these people had died just sitting on your couch. He so gutlessly shot through the windows. It was not just that he was killing people, it was how he was doing it. And yet this was their star witness." Now, Michael Smith was the final alleged Loudon-related shooting victim in 2009. He was found shot to death behind a residence in the 1700 block of Wisteria Street a week before Christmas. Prosecutors alleged that the Marlo Mike killing spree ended April 1st, 2010, when victims named Matthews and Milton were fatally shot.
Not on April Fool's Day.
Inside a Cadillac in the 1400 block of Monte Sano Avenue in Baton Rouge. And Loudon's attorney emphasized there was no physical evidence linking him to most of the murders and urged jurors not to convict solely on her client's videotaped confession, which is really all they have. If only he wouldn't have talked. Of course, when they have you for 8 hours and only turn the video camera on when they have you saying what they want you to.
And there would be a lot of reaction from.
That's why you don't say shit.
This not guilty verdict, as you can imagine. Much more coming up on 9 News at 5. But once again, the verdict for Lil Boosie, not guilty today. 1 hour to deliberate, a jury making this decision.
After the trial, when questioned about the treatment and questioning of juvenile defendant Marlo Mike Loudon, the homicide detectives had predictable comments. One said, quote, "He considered Mike Loudon believable. Quote, every time we spoke with him, except for the first time, he was with his lawyer, and his story was always consistent. I found the kid to be really articulate and a smart kid. Nowhere else in this whole case did anybody refer to the 17-year-old high school dropout hitman as articulate and smart, ever, just to keep it real. But when he was confessing and implicating Lil Boosie, he was suddenly both of those things? I doubt it." The same two homicide detectives also said that their work on the Marlo Mike case had made Baton Rouge safer. Quote, "No question, absolutely no question, especially with Mike Loudon off the streets."
You a cold cat when that's how law enforcement feel about you personally, in particular, partner. Oh, my mama.
He was a kid who was familiar with guns, not afraid to use guns and kill people. there's no question I think some lives have been saved. In April 2013, 3 months before he was sentenced, Marlo Mike sent a letter to Lil Boosie, which said, amongst other things, quote, "I missed them good old days. I wish I was still in that world to lay the law down." But did Boosie ask him to send that letter? So that's the tale of Lil Boosie and Marlo Mike. One of those cases to a casual observer might seem like Boosie got away with murder, but when you know the details, you can see how a jury could easily find some reasonable doubt. American Dope.
Yeah, that. Send your troops, cause we get busy, we don't play about shit. Let the busters off the hook and catch the big fish. Yeah, that. Send your troops, cause we get busy, we don't play about shit. Let the busters off the hook and catch the big fish. Patron with the lemon twist, just hit a big lick. All in Vegas got me feeling like a rich crip. Hold on, same jersey, I ain't never switched. Stay at the gun range, I promise I don't never miss. I dare a nigga to pull up on my passenger seat. The block full of hot boys, it's like 400 degrees. Been gangbanging since a juvenile. Check the files, it's gonna be some shit you gon' see that make it hard to smile. Like Pac said, a whole lot of bloodshed, it's part of war. Like UPS, show up at your door, special delivery. Mac with the shoulder strap, feeling like it's hitting me. Bomb cushion Hennessy in my system, that chopper got distance. No James Bond, but I'm back on my mission. My uniform be the Michigan, counting money. And ain't gon' post it on my Snapchat to count funny. Hell no, I know my mathematics be in public. They always ask me if I'm still rapping, still crippin'. I ain't no rapper, better check my status. Show up at the meetings, phone season be the reason. Baby mama still can't believe that nigga stop breathing. We don't wanna get even, we tryna get over. It's war with the enemies, but with the homies, squabble from the shoulder. I hit a lick and pass, call my loc like nigga we up. Feeling like Kobe in the last game, cause I go hard in the clutch. These niggas mutts, I hang with pit bulls and Rottweilers. Type to squabble up and bomb on niggas like Deontay Wilder. That 40 bark and it get louder and louder. Shot spotters going off, the neighbors waking up and coming out of their houses. Yeah, this shit fucked up, that's just how the ball bounce. Shooting dice for 4 hours and smoked up a whole ounce. Popped the top off the Remy, feeling like that Charger with the Hemi. Squabble good, losses I can't name any. Chin up, chest out, niggas just be chasing clout. Better use that GPS, I make a nigga switch routes. Free the tiny match like Baby Psych and Bad News. Hurt my motherfucking soul when I heard that bad news. Shining with a rollie on, smash like Donkey Kong. Every time we went on them missions, we brought a trophy home, a lonely road. Nightmares that the homie told, cause I fucked the bitch that he loved, and I ain't even know it. I've been through so much pain, but I don't even show it. Don't ask me if I want some get back, nigga, you know it. It's part of war. Show up at your front door. It's part of war. What the fuck you think we do it for? It's part of war. Little homies tryna up the score. It's part of war. My nigga, we love war.
Nightwood and that hustle. Big shout out to my nigga SPI, Spotter Low. You know I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned, all that.
It's the homie cook-up boss, goddammit, Cub Low. And y'all tuning in to the Wake and Bake Show with goddammit the homeboy Spider Low.
Here with SPI, the realest nigga in LA.
Spider this bitch!
My nigga Spider Low. Spider Low, nigga.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
So Spider looks at me because we go back to the juvenile side of the county.
What the fuck?
My nigga.
Spider Low.
Spider Low. Shout out to SPI, that motherfucking nigga.
Spider Low, Wake and Bake. Better keep it Google, nigga.
Loke is in LA somewhere doing what he's doing.
In the words of Spider Loke on my mama's mama.
Spider Loke's gear. This is Bay Mac.
Nightwood, C-Mac. Shout out my Loke, Spider Loke, cuz. Nightwood, on hood. It's a beautiful world. You fight me? Fight, crib.
subliminal dissing. When I listen, I can tell you never been on no mission. Sticking to the script, don't care if I offend you. Neighborhood crib, the marathon
I overlook my competition, never seeing them. I done trained my mind that I'm going. You could tell by how I walk, talk, I'm a boss. A Eastside millionaire, homie, what you thought? My life is a movie. They can't get close to me. They mad cause they can't be. I'm everything that they wanna be. Yeah.
You are now in the Black Box with Spider Loke, Most Easty, aka BJ Keyway, and the Google Gang.
Let's go!